KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years. And brought to you by Matson and the Adahi Tanu program. Cars Plus, reminding you to put your phone down while driving. Distractions won't get you there. Heads up, Guam. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurants, always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
Coming up on your primetime news, another oversight hearing is in the works for the Department of Corrections, but will the former deputy director show up? That story is coming right now. Plus, the UOG Board of Regents met and several upset students walked out regarding the possibility of a tuition hike at the college. And a soft opening was held for the new Payless flagship store over in Mighty. Chris Barnett takes you there. Hafide, and thanks for watching and streaming us, everybody, because the University of Guam Board of Regents in our top story has backed off from its initial tuition increase proposal. In a packed meeting today, board members modified their plan for a 30% tuition hike, saying they heard the concerns of students.
It was last Friday that UOG held a public hearing on a plan to increase tuition by 10% over the next 3 semesters starting next semester. Students reacted strongly to the proposal, saying basically too much, too soon. In a standing room only meeting to ratify the proposal, board members opted to amend it. Chairman Chris Felix.
After a long discussion, we decided to allow the president to determine the fees as needed, but no more than 10%, starting not this semester, but next semester.
UOG President Dr. Thomas Christ was given the discretion to implement the tuition and also to increase fees within specific parameters. The school has said the increases were necessary because of reduced budget appropriations. Senator Amanda Shelton was one of at least 4 senators who attended the board meeting. She and her colleagues, along with the governor, have said UOG should consider ways of raising other revenues before raising tuition.
No one was fully funded at their budget request, and so we ask for that kind of understanding here at UOG. But we have introduced bills to help us rectify that situation, to help UOG be a little more financially independent and make their own money and go into public-private partnerships.
Felix says they are looking to such partnerships to raise revenues, but realistically, it'll take a few years to generate the new income.
The primary income of the university, unfortunately, is the government, is the legislature, and funding from the legislature. And unfortunately, over the past 6 years, not only was the funding given us not enough, but then what was actually we received was less than that. And I thank them so much for giving us what they've given us. But I sure hope they'll look at maybe funding just a little bit more so we won't have to do any tuition increases.
I'm hoping that we can continue to work together, and if we come to that point, we'll address it then.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
A statement issued late today by Dr. Christ said, "Our students let their voices be known and we heard them loud and clear." Now, more than 100 walked out of their classes just before the board meeting in a show of protest. Dr. Christ also clarified the tuition increases of up to 5% were approved over 6 semesters. He's also authorized to lower, cancel, or delay any increase over that period. Well, a hearing in other news has been set for one Jonia Mayor Jesse Blas. The municipal leader is trying to get out of jail and wants a court to revoke the order that he be detained while he awaits trial in December. His attorney filed the motion last week arguing against the Fed's contention that Blas is a danger to the community. Blas has been charged, as you know, in federal court with 6 counts of extortion and 7 counts of travel act bribery for allegedly permitting a confidential informant posing as a drug trafficker to use village mailboxes with which to smuggle in drugs. His hearing on the motion for his revocation of detention is scheduled for the 25th. Well, another oversight hearing is in the works for the Department of Corrections. That's according to Public Safety Vice Chair Tilina Nelson. And she says there's a chance a familiar face from the agency's recent past may show up to testify. Chris Barnett explains in our next story.
Former DOC Deputy Director Joey Terlahi has reached out to Vice Speaker Tilina Nelson, and he may be testifying at a second prison oversight hearing Nelson says is in the works. Terlahi resigned just 1 day after he was named as an associate of Jonia Mayor Jesse Blas during Blas's arraignment hearing in federal court. Terlahi's father, Senator Jose Pito Terlahi, is the oversight chair of public safety, but gave Nelson authority to hold oversight hearings and request documents relative to those hearings. The vice speaker tells KUAM News she spoke to Joey Terlahi personally. and she says he wasn't too happy with what was said about him during the first DOC oversight.
The former deputy director feels that there was not an equal level of transparency. So this is something we're looking into as well, to perhaps invite him to the oversight hearing. He's free to come and he's free to not come, so we will see.
Nelson says Joey Terlahi has something to say about testimony from DOC Director Sam Brennan and Major Anton Uggan, and it centers on a letter of reprimand and a possible adverse action that was to be issued to a DOC platoon commander involved in the erroneous release of 2 inmates at the prison.
He did submit a letter, and for them to say that they found it at his desk is unfair, because he submitted the letter to the secretary, and so these are just some of the things we need to work out.
Something else that will have to be worked out, Vice Speaker Nelson says she's received some documents she asked for from DOC leadership, but Nelson says what she sees in these documents doesn't add up.
In some of the logs, the information inputted was the day of the oversight hearing. So, if you're logging something down, you want to log it in real time. And that's just one of the inconsistencies.
For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
In our next report, talk has resurfaced about building a new hospital to replace the more than 4 decades-old facility in Tamuning. Esther Lecanto rejoins us now and reports that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will conduct an assessment next month that could decide the fate of the aging facility.
The question came up again during an oversight hearing of the hospital. GMH Administrator Lillian Posada says the Army Corps has agreed to an extensive inspection next month on the building. Senator Clint Rigel.
Do you think that it'll be more feasible to build a new hospital somewhere else rather than repair the current one?
I'll be bold. I think a new hospital is what we need.
New hospital, right?
Yeah,
Where?
and my recommendation is to build it near University of Guam. That way it can be affiliated with the University of Guam as a teaching hospital. We can bring in residents, we can bring in interns.
But Health Committee Chair Therese Terlahi pushed back a little.
It's like the decision's been made
No.
and you're coming here with a recommendation.
No,
That's
ma'am.
why I'm asking you,
No.
because, we want an objective assessment of it.
But there's no argument that the hospital built by the Catholic Church in the mid-70s is in dire need of repairs. Elevators, boiler units, roof leaks, and the main electrical panel all need fixing. Then there's the need for a new electronic health record system, which is critical to patient care and ultimately to accurate billing.
We're in a time crunch because Optimum will sunset by next year, December 2020. It might sunset sooner than that. So we have to be ready to then have all of that in place.
The price range for a new EHR is now $40 to $50 million from an initial estimate of $21 million. Finally, Chairman Terlahi raised the well-publicized complaints of excessive physician contracts.
We're looking to see how we can make, a consistent pattern and have some criteria, and we're reviewing the contracts also. We're looking at that as a concern, as an issue that we want to try and fix.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
All right, Nestor, thanks so much. Turning to the crime beat, a 45-year-old woman with a history of drug arrest had her plea agreement with federal prosecutors approved in court today. Cynthia Paulino pled guilty to possession with intent to deliver more than 50 grams of meth. Magistrate Judge Joaquin Manabusan advised her that she faces a sentence of 10 years to life in prison, but that sentencing will be imposed at a later time. Archives show Paulino has been arrested multiple times for drugs. Her next status hearing is after New Year's. Elsewhere, Michael McCarran argues for his pretrial release in federal court as he was indicted for enticement of a minor and attempted transfer of obscene material to a minor. The court allowed him to return home to Idaho for his release and banned him from use of the internet. Then in August of this year, the government petitioned a warrant of arrest and ordered detainment after he allegedly violated the terms of probation by using the website skipthegames.com, during which he posted nude photos of he and his wife offering themselves in exchange for money. During today's evidentiary hearing, FBI agents and probation officers from off-island testified. In addition, his wife, Lena McCarran, was the last of 4 witnesses. Defense attorney John Gorman asked her who made the online posting, and before she could respond, Judge Joaquin Manabusan intervened. The court informed the witness of her Fifth Amendment right and that her answer may subject herself to criminal prosecution. Lena requested to speak with a lawyer, and continued evidentiary hearing was scheduled for November. Trial is still set for the 29th of this month. In other news, Jeremy Pangilinan has been indicted on 4 felony charges and a single misdemeanor charge. The 22-year-old was arraigned today before Judge Jonathan KUAM, pleading not guilty. He was arrested on September 30th after being on meth and fleeing from police officers. During the pursuit, GPD had to open fire as the defendant was allegedly armed with a knife. He's been charged with a multitude of charges, including aggravated assault, assault against a peace officer, and possession of drugs. Pangilinan waived his right to a speedy trial with his next court hearing scheduled for October 23rd in the court of Judge Anita Sokola. In regional headlines, the governor of Yap State, Henry Falan, has delivered an address over Facebook about the tragic shooting death of that state's acting attorney general, Rochelle Bergeron. Falan says she just got home when she was shot dead on Monday night.
Yap's spirit is broken by this senseless and heinous act. As governor of the state of Yap, I promise to do everything in my power to have justice prevail and restore civility into our society.
At the request of the FSM Department of Foreign Affairs, the FBI will be flying to Yap to provide investigative assistance. Guam AG Levin Camacho says, quote, "We're saddened by the loss of a member of the Attorney General community. We respect there is an ongoing investigation and stand ready to assist our local law enforcement counterparts in any way possible." Elsewhere tonight, Chief Prosecutor Basil O'Malley brought his third witness, Millie Taitano, to testify in the Gura trial this afternoon. Prior to her undergoing oath, Attorney O'Malley asked for immunity in order for her not to be implicated on any statements made during trial, and the court granted that request. The three defendants, David Sablan, Cecile Suda, and Rollin Selvage, are former board members of that agency who are accused of holding a private meeting on discussions on who to award the multi-million-dollar low-income housing credit grant to. At the time, Taitano was the special assistant to the agency's executive director. However, trial was cut short today due to a juror being sick and was scheduled to continue tomorrow, with Taitano set to take a stand once again. Arguments and other news will be heard in December in the Take Care Insurance complaint against the Government of Guam health insurance contract. Take Care attorney Louis Yanza says they're challenging the constitutionality of the local law requiring the companies include all Guam hospitals in their coverage. Take Care has never had a contract with Guam Regional Medical City, and the two have been at odds over cost. In a status hearing, Judge Joaquin Menabusan ordered the parties to face off on multiple motions for dismissal and summary judgment. Also in court, GRMC lawyer Joyce Tang announced that they also intend to file a motion to intervene. From healthcare, the number of locally acquired dengue fever cases went up by 1, bringing the total number to 10. There are also 7 cases where dengue has been imported. For the time being, Public Health, along with partner agencies, are holding a presentation on dengue basics down in Maritzo at the village's elementary school. Public Health Service Lieutenant Commander Thane Hancock, along with a panel of experts, are providing info and answering questions from the community at large. Well, we are going to take our first commercial break. Please stay tuned. Prime Time continues after this.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Matson is in this community. We've been in this community for decades. We're gonna be in this community for decades to come. Things will get busy, things will get quiet, but we're gonna be here. We're your hometown carrier. And that matters to us.
Reliability is the core of our business. We take pride in ensuring that we arrive in Guam on time as scheduled.
It's our local employees who understand the market, who understand the business, and provide that hard work for you each and every day.
When we hold ourselves to high standards, our customers also hold us to high standards. We establish good business relationships that turn into friendships. That's why it's so important to be here and be trusted by your customers. We want you to trust Matson like your friend, like your family.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
Half a day, welcome to Two Lovers Point.
Half a day, I'm in the club.
Okay. Can I meet Alan, please?
Attention passengers of flight AJ3004, your flight has been delayed.
It's the flavor that makes you go, woo. McDonald's new Spicy Barbecue Glazed Tenders and Chicken Sandwich. Made with tender, juicy, all-white meat chicken.
Available in 4, 6, or 10-piece chicken tenders. Try the Spicy Barbecue Crispy Chicken Sandwich too.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.